Jana, we're talking about selling offers before you have like testimonials or case studies today.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of my students and people in my community just say to me like, yeah, but I don't have any case studies yet. I don't have any testimonials. Like, how am I gonna get people to understand that this offer will give them results when I don't have the results to share yet? So that's what we're talking about today. And we kind of touched on this a little bit several weeks ago when we were talking about a similar topic. Oh, was should you work for free? Because we were talking about whether you should work for free to get testimonials or case studies. So we kind of like tiptoed into this, but then we wrote it down as like you know what, that would be a good topic. And I'm really glad we're talking about it because I think this does get in a lot of people's way when they have either a new business or a new offer or a new way of delivering something that they've done before. They kind of overthink like the idea of like what they're going to do in order to have testimonials on like a sales page or what they're going to say when someone says like, has this worked for anyone else before type of thing. So that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, and this is a blog post that you have on your website that anyone can go read
Hmm.
later too as
That's
well,
true.
right?
Yes, I have a blog post that I wrote pretty recently. It's called No Testimonials or Case Studies, Three Strategies to Get Clients Anyway.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I
Well,
mean, it's a chicken or the egg, right? You have to start. You got to get clients so that you can have the testimonials and case studies.
honestly, you have to start somewhere. And I
Right.
was just thinking about this again yesterday.
Hmm.
So kind of like a side story, and then I'm going to turn it over to Jana.
Hmm.
Um, I like just yesterday was thinking about my plants
Hmm.
and how when I started growing house plants in Tucson, like in 2020, because I was bored and everyone was bored, um, like killed my very first plant that I ever bought. Killed it. In fairness, the plant already was suffering when it came home, and I just didn't know.
Hmm.
So it was gonna probably die anyways. But I didn't let that deter me. And then I just moved here in May, and in like at the last possible minute, like one of the last garage sales that we had, I sold over 55 houseplants
Mm.
that I had accumulated over
Oh,
the
it's
course of
wild.
5 years.
What an arc.
And if you don't start, how are
Yeah.
you ever going to get those
Yeah.
testimonials and those case studies or the 55 plants?
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
You literally just have to start somewhere. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And I was actually thinking you were going to tell a story about your new program because that's what came
no.
to mind for me because and I want to remind anyone who's listening that like you're not the only one who, came to this like if you came to this live hoping to figure out how you're going to do this, like you're not the only one because 2 years ago I started a brand new program and I had no testimonials or case studies for that program. I didn't have anyone who'd gone through it already and gotten results with the curriculum that I was developing for it, right? Now, spoiler alert, I had people, myself included, who'd gotten results with the concepts that I was going to teach,
Yeah.
but I didn't have anyone who could say like, I took Jana's high leverage content course and it was great and it helped me not overthink my content and I got 2 clients. Like I have those testimonials now all over the place, right? They're all over my
Yeah.
sales page everywhere. But then I didn't, and I was an experienced entrepreneur. And recently you launched a new program. You've informally and through your membership, PPA, been helping Pinterest managers, but now you wanted a higher touch way that you could really help them in like a more hands-on way. So you started a
Yeah.
program to help them, but you didn't have any formal testimonials for that offer yet either. So, we all go through periods, even those of us who are more advanced entrepreneurs, where we don't have testimonials for the thing that we're selling. And there
Yeah.
are ways to sell it anyway. So let's talk about what they are.
Let's talk
That's,
about it.
yeah. Okay. So for me, I would say I'm trying to decide. There's like three of them in my blog post, and I'm trying to decide like which ones are the ones I want to talk about first. I've already kind of hinted at one of them, which we'll get into in a minute, but I'm going to start with your content strategy and what you
Hmm.
write in order to sell people on your program.
Yeah.
And inside my program, High Leverage Content, I teach 9 types of content. And these are my 9 and 2 content pillars. And they are the key things that your audience needs to hear from you. to hear or understand more deeply or learn from you. Some of it's educational because I believe in some educational content, not all, in order for
Hmm.
them to feel ready to buy your offer. And so only one of those pillars is actually built around case studies for the actual offer that you're selling. But there are eight other pillars. There's eight other types of content that you need to have thought leadership content that's going to get people understanding that you're the expert, what your offer's all about, what your frameworks are all about, what your signature approaches are like. Even if you don't know that you have them yet, like this process that people go through inside my program to write it all gets them articulating these things. And when you write those eight other types of content, you will be able to sell your offer before you actually have the ninth kind, which is like a case study or a piece of content essentially that's around someone who actually got results with this specific offer, you know? So that's my first thing to say is that like there are so many different ways to show your expertise, different lenses to look at your program and your thought leadership through. Only one of them involves like actual like real case studies. So you and I tell my students this all the time, you just start with the other eight
Yeah.
and use those to get your first clients. Right? And
Yeah.
then you'll have the fodder you need to get the case study content and, you know, also to get testimonials and things like that. Because testimonials and like screenshots from people with social proof screenshots, which are all over my sales page too, those are a little different than actual case studies, but it's
Hmm.
all kind of the same stuff that we're talking about. Like, how do you sell when you don't have any of that yet? Well, this is how, is you write content that covers all the other things. You get clients with that content, and then you will be able to get those testimonials, screenshots, case studies, all the things that you see other people have that you want for your program. So that's the first one.
So I am someone who has for years actually sold most of my offers without a lot of testimonials or social proof or results. I don't
Hmm.
believe in sharing a lot of the back end for Pinterest results because I feel like a lot
Okay.
of people will see like big numbers and think, oh, that's amazing. Let me try that out. Like
Mm.
I'm very much like share with context kind of girl,
Yeah.
whereas a lot of Pinterest managers will share like
Yeah.
the, a specific dashboard inside of Pinterest when we all know that's not accurate, like whatsoever. But they're still like sharing those. And I'm like, okay, your audience is going to see that and think one thing when in
Yeah.
reality it's something else. So I've never been that type of person to sell with a lot of testimonials or screenshots or case studies. And I do
That's
just fine,
interesting.
Jana.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that part of the reason you do so well with that is because you already have so much street credibility in your
Yeah.
niche. And this is just making my point even further, which I think
Hmm.
you know, that's why you said it, is that
Yeah.
you can create that credibility and
Yeah.
that trust through content.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
what you've done. I mean, you have done that more often and for longer and better than almost everybody I know. So,
Yeah.
like, take it from Heather, everybody. Like, if you, for whatever reason, don't have the testimonials or the case studies, or it's just not part of your marketing strategy to share them,
Hmm.
you can still sell lots and lots and lots of people into your offers by focusing on other types of content, as long as that content is the kind of content that sells,
Yeah.
which is, you know, which is why it's important to make sure you're being really intentional about what kind of content you're creating. So, but
Yeah.
yes,
Which you
yep,
teach. And then
I do.
ultimately, as a part of what you teach, you're going to get those case studies and those
Mhm.
testimonials
Yep, you
to
got
then
it.
use. So
Right.
yeah, you just have to get started and you have to get going.
Yep, yep, totally.
So,
Yep.
okay, what's next?
Okay, where do we want to go next? So, one thing that I sometimes recommend to my students, not always, it depends on the situation, but is that you can use your own story as a case study.
Hmm.
And I know for a lot of Pinterest managers, that sometimes might not work out so well because,
Yeah.
like, if you're a Pinterest manager, you're in the B2B space, and like your numbers are probably going to be a little lower for your own Pinterest account than they are for your clients who might be in
Yeah.
niches that get higher ROI, you know, on Pinterest. Um, But there might still be a way, to do that. And of course, we're not just talking to Pinterest managers on these live streams.
Hmm.
I personally work with a lot of life coaches, health and wellness coaches, spiritual coaches.
Hmm.
And I also, but I do have inside my program, probably about like 70 to 75% of people are some kind of relationship dating coaches, health coaches, life coaches, or practitioners, like which
Hmm.
they're not health coaches, but they're, some of the same concepts apply. And then the other 25% are people who are like more like who I am and what I used to be, like a done for you service provider. And
Yep.
both of those types of people do really well in HLC and with the system. But basically, oh my gosh, I just like totally. Oh, for the wellness people and for the coaching folks, a lot of times their own results end up being really good case studies. Whereas for those of us that are done for you pros, sometimes it can be, but it's not always as obvious or clear or as good a decision. So it's going to depend a lot on your business, what kind of business you have versus what kind of business your ideal clients have, or what their problems are versus like what your problems were. But for a lot of my students who are in that 75%, especially the coaches, the life coaches, the relationship coaches, the health coaches, part of the reason that they started their business or started this offer or both has to do with something that they learned in their life
Hmm.
the hard way. Like they went through the hard way of learning to do something differently and get better results than what they had, or getting something that they wanted, or solving a
Yep.
problem, right? So I'm talking about the dating coach who, got divorced, in her 50s and then went through a couple of years where she failed, in her opinion, at online dating, but then finally turned things around and met the person. And now she's teaching people what she learned, so that they can shorten the learning curve. Or the
Yep.
business coach with chronic illness that's, had a hard time with their business for a couple of years because they felt like online business wasn't friendly to people with chronic illness or the type of business they were in. Maybe it was an online business. And then they realized some things and figured things out the slow way. And now they're teaching people how to build chronic illness friendly businesses now, So sometimes it's your own personal experience that actually is your first case study.
Hmm.
And sometimes my students say to me, yeah, but is that legit? Does anyone care? And I'm like, yes, they care. It is legit. Yes, they care. So that's the short version of it. But yes, absolutely. There are situations where your story can serve as your first case study and it can sell like gangbusters. So
Yeah.
absolutely leverage it if you're in the situation where that is applicable. Right.
Yeah. So good. Tamisha says, hi, hi. Hey, hey.
Hello to Misha.
Adriana is also saying hey, but Tamisha says, very timely conversation as I'm relaunching my health coaching practice
Are
now that I
you?
have a new skill set to offer clients.
What is it? What's your new skill set, Tamisha? Tell us.
Tamisha, congratulations, first of all, on relaunching. That's exciting.
Yeah. Jamisha was in one of my summits a while back, and she talked about weight
I
inclusivity.
remember.
Yeah,
Yes.
weight and size inclusivity for people who are running health coaching programs. And I think I remember, it's so important because, I mean, it's important just for moral reasons, but also because like a lot of people um, who have different body sizes and shapes don't respond well to marketing. That's all like, people who look like they're perfect. So
Well,
it's
and
like those.
you were sharing something in your stories recently about a specific brand that only had really skinny models.
Yeah.
And you shared that with them, and they owned up to the fact that, oh,
Yeah, we're not
that's
doing so
like
well with that. Yeah,
our intention is to be more inclusive, but
we're failing.
we're failing. I'm passing this along immediately.
Yeah,
I'm
I
glad
hope
they owned up to it because they could have just copped out.
I know. I hope that it was like legitimate though. I wonder if it was just like them pacifying me. But anyway, we're off on a tangent.
No, but
Did Tamisha tell us what her new skill set is?
she says, LOL, I've learned more about behavior change and want to dive into
Mm.
that from a weight inclusive lens for clients. For anyone watching, Tamisha has a very specific skill set around in creating inclusive
Like Liam Neeson.
businesses. Yes.
Yeah,
Um,
that's amazing. That's
with
great.
inclusivity. So she does a really great job. She says, that's awesome, Jana. Thank you. Yay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah, yeah. Oh, she didn't say thank you. She said yay. I read that
Oh,
as thank you. I thought it said TY and it says YAY.
oh,
Sorry.
got you.
Too
Got you,
much
got you.
caffeine.
Me
Um,
too, girl. Me too. Let's have some more. Yeah, so that was the second one, is using your own story.
okay. Remind me again of the first one.
The first
Content,
one
right?
was, yeah, focusing on content that is basically thought leadership content that covers all the other things that your audience needs to feel ready to buy so that you can
Mm-hmm.
use those blog posts and they will convert on their own
Mm-hmm.
without the case studies. Trust me, they do all the time when you do it this way,
Yep.
so that you can then create that ninth, type or whatnot, which is centered around people's results and case studies. So, yep.
Yeah.
So those are the
Great.
first two.
Tell me the third.
So the third one is getting creative and leveraging the experience that you do have. So it's basically like taking inventory of, it's kind of like when you know how like career counselors say, like, okay, maybe you don't have experience in this field, but go back and look at all your skills and the accomplishments that you had in your other fields that are like, what is that term? Transferable skills, right? It's kind of like that kind of concept. Like, look back at what you have done and find the
Oh.
common denominators between what you've done in the past and what you're selling now, and like lean into those, right? So, for example, just because you haven't worked with clients in your current offer yet, like in this particular version of your current offer, you might still have relevant experience. So ask yourself questions like maybe you did this kind of work in like a corporate environment before you
Mm-hmm.
went into your own business. So like maybe you're like a website designer. I have a lot of designers and copywriters in my program. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of them, especially these days, I'm noticing, this is interesting. I recently had two new students come in who are both former government employees, or actually one's like
Nice.
on furlough and one's, yeah.
Oh, I remember you telling me this.
Yeah. And so like they haven't had an online business where they do web design yet, but they have so much experience with what they were doing with like UI and UX design and like
Yeah.
they both of them, I'm thinking of one in particular, but they both basically did this in one shape or one way or another through my program. They're assessing everything they did and realizing like, oh, all of these things that I did like actually make me like uniquely prepared
Mm-hmm.
for this new type of work that I'm doing, and I can make that case through my content, right? So, like maybe you're a designer, for example, and you worked in corporate or in the government before you went solo. Like, how does that apply? Or maybe a member, as I mentioned, I work with a lot of health practitioners as well in my program. Maybe you helped patients as a hospital dietitian before you became a health coach focusing on like nutrition, right? Or maybe you coached people who you managed. Maybe you were like a middle manager in some company or some environment of some sort. And even though you weren't called a coach, a lot of what you were doing, because you had a staff of people, was coaching people to get the best performance out of them. Sometimes you realize you did that, and other people don't even realize they did that until they think about it, right? Or maybe another way to think about this is like, have you had family or friends, or even colleagues who you kind of casually helped with something? Um, Maybe at the time you didn't realize you were like coaching them through something, but you actually did. A lot of my students I know find that, like, sometimes they tell me one of the reasons they started their business was because people kept coming to them and saying, "Oh my God, you're so good at this. Will you help me with it?" Right? So when you look at those types of questions, you start to see that, well, even though I haven't had people in this particular offer that I'm currently working on content to sell, you still you kind of have case studies, and you can actually sometimes even get testimonials from people for a services page or wherever you need testimonials um, that will back this up. So, for example, maybe you have a new um, career coaching business and you go back to a couple of people that you coached in your corporate environment or through the Chamber of Commerce when you volunteered or something, and you ask them, "Hey, I'm starting this new business and I'm going to be doing work that's kind of similar to what we did together. Would you be open to providing a testimonial for me based on what I helped you with, even though you didn't pay me for it?" I mean, you don't say that, but like that's kind of the implication. Like, well, it was informal or it was volunteer, but
Yeah.
could you provide me a testimonial? So that third strategy, like I said, is just getting creative and really kind of challenging your thought that you're having right now that, oh, I haven't gotten results for anybody with this offer yet. Like, haven't you though? You know what I mean? With this kind of work. So
Yeah.
going back and really
Okay.
thinking about it.
I have a couple of thoughts.
Mm.
Thought number one, there's this powerhouse little blonde bottle of energy that lives in Florida. Her name's Sarah Wiles.
Oh yeah, I love Sarah. I know Sarah.
And
I've been out to drinks with Sarah a few
she
times. Yeah.
is so uniquely positioned to help
Yeah.
people identify the things, the skills that they
Hmm.
already have and translate those into
Yep.
transferable skills that they can sell for virtual assisting.
Yes.
So if you
Yes.
are watching this and you are a um like you're asking yourself, oh well, what do I have? What
Yep.
could I do? And you need someone that can help you figure that out. Like Sarah is so uniquely
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
good at that.
Her free content and her paid programs are both great
Yeah.
places to, yeah, identify those transferable skills for sure. And just to give a little context, she has a program where women, um, I think it's mostly women anyway, learn how to
Hmm.
become virtual assistants and work
Yeah.
from home to support their clients instead of transitioning out of like working
Yeah.
in, an office or in any kind of environment really into becoming a virtual assistant from home. Yep.
Yeah. And
Yep.
then Jana can teach you how to make your words sell like
Yeah.
gangbusters on your website. So,
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah. And
um,
in my blog post, I just wanted to mention too that there are some things about like if you are going back to people who you are going to get testimonials from that were like from before you started your offer, but it was similar work that you helped them with, whether volunteer based or, at corporate or whatever.
mhm.
I actually listed in this blog post like a bunch of questions that you can use to ask them if you want to ask them for a testimonial so that you're not just saying like, will you give me a testimonial? You're actually helping them give you something
Yeah,
that's going to be like powerful. So those are in that blog post, which we'll link in the description too.
if you ever send someone a message and like, hey, can you write me a testimonial? Chances are they're not going to give you what you want. You need to prompt them. So
Yeah.
my testimonial framework is like, why did you approach Heather and join Pin Profit Academy? Like,
Hmm. What
what were
was
you
going on
struggling
at the
with
time?
right
Hmm.
before? Like, it's open-ended questions, so they can't like
Hmm.
answer yes or
Yes.
no. Like, they
No.
have to like type it in
Yep.
their own words.
Hmm.
Um, but lately, what I have been doing instead, and my friends have done this for me as well. I think Teresa did this once, is I needed a testimonial. And so I wrote it,
Hmm.
sent it to her, and was
Yeah.
like, read this and tell me if it's true. And
Yep.
she's like, every word is true. And I was like, can I
Yeah.
use this as a testimonial?
Yes. Yes. I've done that
She's
too.
like,
And
yes.
I've done that even with clients because honestly, like if I have a good relationship with a client and I have been asking them enough questions to know what we worked on together and how I helped, they're so appreciative. They're like, "Oh my God,
Yeah.
thank you. You just saved me like, a half an hour of like racking my brain trying to figure out what words to use to write this."
Yeah.
So usually when you are in that situation, if you have a good relationship with someone, like they're so grateful that you did that for them instead of you just
Yeah.
being like, "Hey, send me a testimonial." So yeah, totally.
Yes. My friend Allie just recently sent me a message and she's like, hey, can you write me a testimonial for like this ad strategy I helped you with earlier in the year? And I was like,
Yeah. You write
um,
it, send it to me. I'll tell you if it's right. It will be.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I
Hmm.
mean, that cuts down the time too of like getting
Yeah.
getting the feedback basically.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
Well, these have been really great. So it's writing killer content,
Hmm.
using past experience
Hmm.
from other like your transferable skills, right? Did I get that
Right.
right?
Yeah,
And
like
then
getting creative and realizing
getting,
that you
yes.
do have them somewhere. You just need to figure out what they are and unblock your
Mhm.
brain because sometimes we have mind blocks about them. Yes.
Yes.
Hmm.
And then using your own journey,
Hmm.
depending on the niche or like what it is that
Right.
you're doing.
Right. Right. And yeah, exactly. It depending on, and like if you think about that and it like, no, that doesn't make sense for my business, like it's okay. I just want to say, I know I had a student recently come to me and say like, I know you suggested this, um, but like, it doesn't really make sense for my business. And she was totally expecting me to be like, oh yes, it does. Just do it anyway. And I was like, I thought about it and I thought about what she was doing and the facts of the business. And I was like, yeah, you're right. It doesn't make sense for you. Do something else. Meaning like, use one of the other two strategies. Don't try to write about your own story as a case study because it's not going to be as compelling as just waiting until you have a case study that's more relevant for your ideal audience that you want to attract. So
Yeah.
sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Well, and good, you'll find a good coach when they will be like, you know what, this it actually isn't for you.
Yeah, right. Like my strategy actually, or like this little part of it, like you
Hmm.
you should ignore that. It's not going to be the right thing for you. Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna spin your wheels or waste your time or whatever. So,
Yeah.
yeah, love that. Well, is there anything else that you'd like to add? We can add the blog post to the description of this
Yeah.
after.
Can't think of anything. Maybe we'll tag Sarah Wiles a little bit of her content too, because you're right, she talks a lot about
Hmm.
transferable skills. So I'll see if I can find something that would be really relevant around that and put something for people to kind of be introduced to her in the description too.
Yeah,
Okay.
great. Love that. Okay. Well, we have to do some content planning, friends, so we will do that.
Hmm.
We'll be back here same time next week. Now that Jana's time has changed
Changed.
and is the same again as mine,
Hmm.
we're in
Not
the
the
same.
same.
No, I just mean like what like we were five
We were,
hours apart last week, and now we're 6 hours apart again because you fell
oh,
back. Because we fall back
oh,
before you fall back.
right, right. Okay, got it.
Yeah, so last week was a little,
It's so confusing because when you lived in Arizona, you didn't fall back ever. And now you do, but you go a week before we do.
hmm.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I
Yeah.
won't remember that next time we talk about it, but that's okay.
No, it's fine. You don't need to. I will be the one that forever remembers
Yeah.
this. No, but
Yeah.
we'll be here 4 p.m. Central European time
10 a.m.
or
Eastern time.
10 a.m. Eastern time. Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
And it's done. Okay, cool.
Okay.
I had a bit of a oh shit moment after we were about halfway through. I thought I forgot
Really?
to hit the go live button.
Oh my God, that would have been awful. But not. But you did, right? You didn't.
Oh, I
You,
did. Yeah, I clicked
yeah.
over and that's when I realized Tamisha was over there commenting and I was like, "Oh, hi."
Thank God you're here.
Shit. No. All right. Well, you better take Rue to go poop.
Yeah, oh yeah, I got you. I was Googling Sarah Wiles' transferable skills, but you're right, that needs to wait. We need to go outside first.
Yeah,
Yes.
you guys need to go for a walk.
The poop priority.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Chat soon.
And you're gonna book a time for
Yes, I'm gonna do that now, actually.
okay.
I was cooking last night when I was chatting with you, so
Yes.
and then I
Oh,
lost my
good.
phone on purpose. I lose it in the house and then I
And then you're like,
go
maybe I won't look for it right now. I like it.
yeah. Exactly.
I like
All
it.
right,
I
you
like
and Rue have a good walk.